Man, I'm hungry. All this chicken stuff going around. I don't know if I want some of that, though. I'm gonna call my homeboy at Beyond Meat and see if we can put something together. I got a cool little idea right here and see if he can make this thing happen. Ethan!
How you doing?
What up, dog?
What's going on?
I'm chilling, man. So look, I'm sitting here caught up in the mess of all this chicken stuff going on, and I came up with an idea that I think you could possibly help us put together, man. Some plant-based chicken, right? But do it with the originator, the OG, with Colonel Sandal.
Snoop, I'm in.
Can you put that together?
You're asking, I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be great.
Put something together, bring it over here, let me sample it so I can go on Instagram and let everybody know how good it is. Let's see if this thing is finger-licking good, thanks to the Colonel.
That was Snoop Dogg, claiming he invented the new plant-based chicken nuggets at KFC. Recently, KFC in the UK also released a plant-based chicken replacement. They call it the Imposter Burger. Not to be left out, Burger King have just released the Impossible Whopper, a Whopper with a plant-based burger patty that bleeds heme like a beef burger. Subway are also introducing a plant-based alternative to the meatball sub, and Oporto in Australia is trialling a vegan burger. What's behind all these new products? Is veganism driving capitalism, or is capitalism driving veganism? On today's show, we explore these issues and ask the question, can capitalism drive social change?
Okay, so Alex has become a vegan recently, and he's been riding his high horse around the office.
Insert Ace Ventura laugh there.
So tell us why you've become a vegan, Alex. What were the reasons?
There was many reasons, but I think part of the reasons were, I really love the taste of meat. I really love the taste of burgers and things. And I remember having a conversation with you where I said, if plant-based meat products and replacement kind of plant-based products that replace meat products came out and were cheaper and tasted just as good, I'd run out of excuses.
So you've run out of excuses?
Yeah, I ran out of excuses,
Nothing's holding you back to be a more ethical person?
Nothing at all now. So I thought it might be interesting if that's happened to me to see if that's happened to other people. And I kind of wanted to explore this issue of capitalism's role in creating social change in movements like this.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Vegan vigilantes chained to the cause.
This is the fastest growing movement of justice on earth.
Farmers are fuming, calling for animal rights.
Animal rights activists blocking peak hour traffic and storming out.
War against
I've a problem with
vegans.
vegans running into steakhouses and screaming at people and paying noise.
I love a vegan sausage roll, but veggie sausages and bean burgers could soon
See what I haven't? And she said, look at it, looks like duck, tastes like duck. I make all the things that butchers make, but I make them with no meat.
Australia is the third fastest growing vegan market in the world.
Love it or loathe it, veganism is on the rise.
Veganism has been a hot topic this year. From April, when vegan protesters shut down Melbourne streets and stormed Victorian farms, to the Australian government recently proposing new laws to fight vegan activists. If we look at things like Google Trends, we can see that the word veganism has never before been more searched. This has been accompanied by a 30% increase in plant-based meat sales this year alone. Stocks in Beyond Meat, a plant-based meat supplier, have grown 163% since January. In the 2017 to 2018 financial year, US dairy lost $1.1 billion. And Australian dairy is calling for milk to be reintroduced to schools in an effort to use Australian tax dollars to save the industry. Is this the beginning of the end for the animal industries? Is this what a vegan revolution looks like? A capitalist revolution? I spoke with Brooklyn Darney. Brooklyn is a Master of Research student at Western Sydney University. She's studying Sydney vegan culture. She was telling me about the history of veganism in Australia.
Vegan Society, and in 1970, the Vegan Society formed in Australia. I was wondering, why is it so late? And then I learned because Australia is mostly and largely a meat-eating culture.
Brooke then explained that the meat industry in Australia was absolutely massive.
the IBIS World Industry Reports, the Australian industry of beef cattle feedlots, they generated $4.6 billion in revenue, and from this they made $509.8 million. And the meat processing industry in Australia, they made $20.5 billion currently, and they made a profit of $2 billion.
These massive profits stand in stark contrast to the vegan food industry.
They made $657 million, and from this they only made $32.9 million.
While I was quite optimistic about the ability of these vegan food options to help make it easier for people to choose veganism, Brooke was less so optimistic. She sees it as a big challenge and something that's going to happen over a long period of time.
You know, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen overnight, maybe over a period of time, but it's not going to be like an off-on switch sort of thing. It's not going to be a David and Goliath battle.
Brooke also thinks that there's other ways to change people's minds long term.
You think of all the changes that have happened in the past and what it took for change. And it took conversations, it took networking, it took friends, it took friendships, it took discourses, it took engagement, community engagement, it took conversations, it took activism, it took protests, it took right up to Parliament House to get change. So it's not impossible, but it's not going to happen overnight. That's the thing. These things aren't going to be instantaneous.
Brooke noted another problem. The Australian food market is much smaller than markets in Europe and the United States.
Well, America and Europe, you know, they're huge population numbers of people, and they've got a vast, huge, what do you call it? The money they've got there is huge. And Australia's just a baby.
Brooke went on to explain that in some parts of Europe, they eat a lot of corn. That's spelled Q-U-O-R-N. Corn is a meat replacement product. It's also available in Australia.
Europe, they like in some parts of Europe, meat is just so expensive. They have to eat meat substitutes. Like I know in Denmark and Germany and Holland, they eat corn, which is a meat substitute. It's made from a fungus, and they mostly eat that. And in the supermarkets, it's all corn this, corn that, corn that. That's why in Europe, like they can embrace veganism large scale. They just learn. They just jump in. They're just all in there.
Brooke thinks there's some lessons that we can learn from European culture.
What we can learn is from countries and communities that have used vegan-based product, and it's widely used. Meat substitutes are widely used, and trying to get into that mentality and how that happened over there. Because like in Australia, they're prepared to pay them more money for the meat. So is Japan and USA to pay more money for the meat and the milk. But how did they do it in Europe? How did it get so widely embraced? What was the mentality there? How did they win them over with corn?
Brooke also told me about another technology, clean meats. So these are meats where a sample of tissue is taken from an animal and the cells from that tissue specimen are cultured in a laboratory. The cells are cultured until enough meat is produced that they can actually produce a product that they then sell to market. So far, clean meats exist for things like beef, chicken, and even things like kangaroo.
And they've just come out with this, and they said that in about 10 years from now, it will be available in supermarkets. It'll be a little bit pricey, but it will be cruelty slaughter-free, but there is exploitation. They're taking a sample of a microscopic cells from the animal and growing it in a lab-grown petri dish.
Although these new products are coming out, Brooke is still less optimistic about how fast this change can happen, particularly with Australia's ingrained meat-eating culture.
With veganism versus meat-eating culture, I mean, well, you've got to accept that this meat-eating culture has been imprinted into Australia for a long time. It's not something you can just switch off. It will be a process to get people to change.
But Brooke thinks there is hope.
And so you know, these sort of things, this cause and effect, this dynamic of cause and effect, and this desire for utopia or a perfect world or a perfect system that doesn't exist right now, or you want it to get close to it, this sort of thing, you know, it's not impossible.
Brooke also thinks that health issues may come into play here.
Well, people are eating more vegan foods. They're omnivorous, or they're meat eaters, but they're throwing in, you know, some vegan patties. They're eating more vegetables because there's a health element there. People got health issues. They're overweight now. They're not doing enough exercise. They're all in front of screens. So because of that awareness, it's driven more people to incorporate a more healthier diet, which incorporates plant-based, a lot of plant-based. So it's not impossible. It's not impossible. And there's always going to be people that are going to feel for animals. You know, human nature now is much more better, more compassionate towards animals So people are going to have some empathy for the animals. So I think there is an argument there because we're all changing as people. We're being more engaging with our animals, our pets, and I think that's going to extend it into what we eat too.
Brooke is hopeful for a vegan future, but she does have concerns about the effect on the Australian economy.
The thing is that we want to do it in a way that's going to support the Australian economy because we're in a GFC right now. What looks good is dollars.
Speaking about dollars, it's time we took a short break. After that break, I'm going to talk to some students from Western Sydney about their food choices.
Hey, did you know that Blap Goats are self-funded? We're a group of university students doing this as a passion project. You can help support us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or by purchasing merchandise. We have some really cool designs on mugs, shirts, hoodies, phone cases and more. And all that money you put in goes back into producing more content like the episode you're listening to.
My name is Patrick and I'm studying engineering.
Tell us what you're eating for lunch today, Patrick.
Eating Subway.
Awesome. What type of sub did you go for?
Teriyaki chicken footlong.
So that has chicken from it, right? An animal product? Yeah. Hypothetically, if there was a plant-based alternative to that chicken that cost the same and tasted the same, would you still buy the chicken or would you go for the plant-based alternative?
If it tasted the same, I'd get the plant-based one.
Awesome. But why would you go for a plant-based alternative over chicken if cost and taste were eliminated as factors?
I guess I feel bad about the chicken getting killed for nothing if it's if I can get the same taste and same price for something else that is plant-based, you know?
So I'm Candice Gardner and I'm studying to be a high school teacher. So at the moment I'm doing my bachelor's on the way to Masters of Teaching. So I just got it from our Japanese restaurant. It's just their lunch special, which is $10, and it's just fried chicken with soy and garlic, rice and salad.
If there was a plant-based alternative to that chicken that cost the same and tasted the same, would you go for the plant-based alternative or would you still go for the chicken?
I would probably go for the plant-based alternative because I have eaten it in the past. In Melbourne, there's quite a few restaurants that offer that, and I have eaten there.
What makes you go for the plant-based option?
Obviously, for the animal welfare and stuff like that, because obviously at these restaurants, they don't really explain where it's from. But also, just for the future, like obviously we're looking into new farming techniques and stuff like that. And so, yeah, that's also one of the reasons.
It sounds like you're saying that if you have more access to these types of products, that you would probably choose them over something that came from an animal.
Yeah, that's correct. I would prefer to go for that option if it was available more worldwide and locally as well.
My name is Sam. I'm studying the Master of Teaching Secondary School. I'm eating sushi, Japanese sushi.
And sushi can be made out of lots of things. Your sushi's got some fish on it?
Yeah, it have the salmon fish and the seafood and the avocado.
Would you still eat fish or would you go for that plant-based alternative?
Of course, I can go for the vegetarian one. The plant, you mean vegetarian? Yeah, but very hard to find this sort of food in the shopping and in the food court, you know. Yeah, very hard to find, honestly.
Why would you go for the plant-based alternative over the fish if it was more available?
Because it's at the moment I am on high cholesterol and high blood pressure too. My doctor recommend me to eat the healthy food, like try to not eat beef or pork, but fish is okay, like low cholesterol. And the best one is the fruit salad or the vegetable.
What's your name, sorry?
Shakira.
Shakira, thank you. So why don't you tell us what you're eating for lunch today?
I'm having Portuguese chicken and Caesar salad with avocado.
If there was an alternative to chicken that tasted just as good and cost the same amount to buy, but it was actually made of plants, would you go for the plant-based alternative or still buy chicken?
I'd still go for chicken.
Yeah. Why is that?
It's a meat that I enjoy.
Yeah. But so you enjoy the taste of it, is it?
There are some foods which I feel I can have provision to, so yeah.
So if it tasted the same and it cost the same, that wouldn't kind of sway your mind? You would still go for the chicken?
I mean, I'd try it, and if it was the same, then either or, it wouldn't be an issue, but I'm okay with eating chicken as it is.
My name is Alora, and I am studying a double degree. I'm doing a Bachelor of International Studies and Social Science. It's such a mouthful.
I noticed you've got a coffee there. Did it have cow's milk in it?
No, I get almond milk.
Interesting. Why do you go for almond milk over cow's milk?
Oh, I recently read like a lot of things on Twitter about like the, what do you call it? Just the, I forgot what it's called. Just like the cow industry basically, and cowspiracy. If you guys have heard of that, it'll ruin like your appetite, and you'll stop eating meat for a while as well as drinking milk. But that's how it kind of switched my attitude on drinking milk. And what I learnt was cow milk isn't actually good for you. Oh, especially if you drink it every single day. So, do your study. Like, knowledge is good.
Was having the availability of different types of milks, like almond milk, did that like make that change from not drinking dairy easier for you?
Yes, because not everywhere has it, and you always have to pay more, which I don't really feel bad about. But the availability is definitely not as accessible compared to just dairy milk.
And if you think if it was more available, more people would make that change?
I do think it has to be a conscious decision, and I do think it has to come from, I guess, people have to have their own reasons and like why they would want to make that choice. So I think it wouldn't be like a trend just because someone's drinking almond milk or a different, something that's not dairy milk. But if people started drinking almond milk, I just hope it's because they have the right intentions to.
It looks like people are open to changing their food choices, but it seems like those choices depend on the availability of these products, how much they cost, and how much they taste like the real deal. I wanted to further explore the role of grassroots activism and how social change occurs. For that, I spoke with Dr. Holly K. Smith. Holly is a social change activist and producer of a whole lot of content. She did her PhD in human-based solutions to conservation problems. She also runs Dr. Holly. You can find Dr. Holly on Facebook and Instagram. I suggest checking her out. She's awesome. Holly told me that sometimes for immediate results, you have to work within a system to try and change it.
Something that I, have learned when I was doing my PhD, the reality is that in most cases you have to work with systems to change them. For immediate results, we do vote with our dollar.
Holly also explained that change needs to feel easy, and that's what these vegan products do. They make it easier for people to make those choices.
Change needs to look and feel easy. And what people you want to make people feel like they want to be a part of the community.
This all sounds great, but Holly also presented an issue. People sometimes feel threatened by veganism. She told me a funny story about a friend of hers not wanting to try tofu.
They don't even want to try tofu. I had a friend who would not have a bite of my tofu. And I was like, because they thought, it was emasculating. And I was like, wow, this is a problem that needs to be tackled.
Veganism can be a confronting issue. People feel attacked when you question their food choices.
And I think that veganism is something where people can feel like if you feel bad instantly if someone else is eating meat. And then that's where those arguments come. And I'm sure you've come up with this. I was a vegetarian for many years, for nearly a decade. And I would feel people would really want to aggressively disagree with me and prove to me that it was wrong. And I think it's a good thing to bring up in this conversation, because it's like knowing that I feel as though people do that because it feels like their entity and them as a person are threatened by that.
Although Holly thinks that using the capitalist system to promote veganism can work in the short term, she also thinks that long-term, capitalism's actually part of the problem.
We are built on a capitalist economy that focuses on production and creating more to advance. That's how the whole global system is made in that way. And that's unfortunate for our planet because, with the population that we're at and the way that we're using natural resources and things like that, this whole economy that we're built on is what's destroying our planet.
Holly thinks that long term, we actually need to address the way our economy is structured.
We can change our economy and things, and rather than building it on the idea that more is better, we need to build it on the idea that making things better is better.
Holly points out that this need for continual growth is actually what leads to animal abuse in the first place.
Because also that's where the torturous nature of the way that we produce our food has come from, because it's been mass produced and industrialized. And then, we're having 3 chickens in that tiny little pen. And I've rescued these chickens. Cut the top of the beak off. 3 of them are squished into a little pen the size of an A4 paper, and they have to cut off the top of their beaks so they don't pick each other's eyes out. And this is all built on that capitalist economy.
But Holly does think that our money can create short-term change.
We can use our dollars to change the systems, and we can show what we want to happen by voting with your dollars, and it does create change.
But for long-term change, there's still a place for grassroots activism.
There is definitely still a role for grassroots activism. And when we're thinking about things like government regulation and things like that, like the grassroots change, the ground up strategies where it's people, power and communities, it's slower, it takes bigger, it takes time to build, but that's where we will see the long-term change, where we will shift and overturn these standing systems. And these conversations challenging consumer norms that dictate the way we do things is what's going to create the change.
At the end of the day, Holly is more concerned with what results from people's actions, not why they take those actions. Someone might choose a plant-based option at Hungry Jack's, and they may do that for health reasons, the environment, animal welfare, or simply because they want to try something new. Either way, Holly thinks the change is positive.
If you look at the result, like if it results in more ethically produced meat or lower carbon emissions or less resources used, then it's positive. I don't care if someone's doing it for health. I don't care if they're doing it for animal welfare. I think if you look at the actual results of whatever is happening with that change and the results are positive, then it's positive.
So the vegans may not be taking over, but where we spend our money does matter. Long term, both Brooklyn and Holly think we need to change our values. But short term, they both feel that working within the system we have is essential for progress. If you want to lobby someone to bring a plant-based option to Australia, I have attached a letter to the description of this episode. So remember what Snoop Dogg says.
Don't be last, be first. Tell him Snoop Dogg sent you.
Blabcoats was created by Hamid Siddiqui and Alex Ray. The Blabcoats team includes Hamid Siddiqui, Alex Ray, Marina Khan, Yinghua Hu, Michael Horgan, Tay McKnight, and Drew Martin. The episode was produced by Alex Ray, and the credits are being read by me, Mardine. Special thanks to Brooklyn Dani and Dr. Holly K. Smith. Make sure you check out Dr. Holly on Facebook and Instagram. You can support Blabcoats by a donation through Patreon, by buying some of our merch, or by reviewing or sharing this episode with a friend. If you haven't already, like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.